The Aviva Stadium in Dublin, Irish rugby has seen some glorious days here over the last few years. But let's not forget about the rattly old Lansdowne Road, where Ollie Campbell inspired Ireland to a triple crown back in 1982. And then in '85, I stood in an old terrace there and watched Michael Kiernan kick a drop goal against England to win their second triple crown of the '80s. And then the 1990s came along. Things got an awful lot bleaker, and giving out about Irish rugby became a national pastime.
Going to Lansdowne Road to watch Ireland play in a Six Nations game was a ceremonial thing. You weren't expecting any great performance or any superstar or any great coaching. It was just something you did in the middle of the winter, and Ireland lost.
English teams used to play against Ireland and say, well, we'll take the wind out of the sails. They knew there'd be passion, they knew there'd be commitment, they knew there'd be skill, but they knew after 50, 60 minutes they'd probably blow out.
What changed it essentially was the RFU got their act together and got up to the market value of getting their players home, and then an unbelievable group of lads came together.
The debut of Shane Horgan and Stringer and John Hayes against Scotland, there was beating Scotland, not beating them from 1990 to 1999, who we would have seen as our equals, and then suddenly we destroy them.
2000, 2001, 2002 were the years that the team dynamic changed and the age profile changed, and I think what came with that was a confidence, a youthful enthusiasm and vigour that was infectious amongst the older players as well. The young lads have no baggage. They come in and they think, all I know is winning, or I know more winning than losing, so why wouldn't that be the case here? And it's a confidence bordering on arrogance that you need.
You know, O'Gara famously before a Leicester game for Munster saying, why can't we go over and beat teams in England? We're as good as them now. We've got Irish players that are every bit as good as English players.
We wanted to play a brand of rugby that was going to work for us, that we weren't physically the biggest team in the world, so we had to move players around the park. Gone were the days of that performing for 50, 60, 70 minutes and falling apart the last while. I think we wanted to make that a strength of ours, that we could finish and close out close games because of our fitness, and that became a work on again throughout the 2000s. We did leave a slam behind us in '07. I think it was definitely there for the taking.
They knew that they had to win a Grand Slam at some stage. They knew that this was the team that had to do it. And yeah, they got it together 2 years later.
You're in that position to almost win it, then eventually you're going to win it because you get comfortable with that feeling of being a favourite.
Yeah, when you keep knocking on the door, thankfully eventually you do get let in, and that was the case for us.
Ireland have had a purple patch that's been 14, 15 years long, and that can't last forever. And in the midst of players retiring, they need more guys to put their hand up.
Can you ever replace true world class? No. And I just hate people comparing, oh, well, we haven't had a centre partnership like O'Driscoll and Darcy. Well, no, what, Sherlock?
So, those legends of the game won't grace an Ireland changing room again. It's time for the new breed to take over. So, how will they fare in a new era of Irish rugby?
The main thing for Irish rugby is to keep the Johnny Sexton, the number 110 in Ireland, to keep Conor Murray, the number 19. And you pay odds for those guys. And the guy beneath him, let him go, and then let the next guy come up from the academy.
So we have the structures, we have the coaches, we have the trickle of players coming through. And I think once you build up that sort of 10, 15 years of consistency, then the fans and the confidence never dips to that horrendously low level that it was in the 90s.
I think there'd been so much work done behind the scenes of making sure that there wasn't a reliance on one or two individuals or on a couple of combinations, that other guys could come in and do a relatively seamless job.
You move on, and I think Irish rugby, despite what's happened in the last couple of months, people will look at the provincial performances and it'll be fine. There's really good players there.
There will be cycles. There will be where we'll be very competitive and other years that we won't be. A huge amount is dependent on our coaching ticket and how good they are and how well they can prepare the national team. And if they can do that, I think we'll always be relatively competitive.